Ponytail. I'm 50. I grew up in Kirkwood, Missouri. Had a silver spoon in my mouth when I grew up. I had a lot of friends, and they used me for all my money, ran me out of my trust fund. Then I got into the game, started slanging like crazy. We used to run raves, all kinds of dance parties, and then they started getting robbed. So one day I just said, that's it, I got out the game, and now I just struggle. I live in my dad's business partner's got some property. I watch over his properties, make sure people don't be stealing from him. And now I just scrap, hit the food pantries, and try to do side jobs when I can find them.
Describe your life growing up in Kirkwood, your childhood.
That was pretty easy. It was nice. I was an athlete. I had some college scholarships lined up until I got injured in a high jump accident, and that was the end of all the scholarships. So I never even thought about trying to get in on my grades, but once the sports dried up, I just kind of, went into the party scene and started, throwing them raves, having dance parties, meeting celebrities, and sure as a change now. Like they always say, you know who your real friends are when you need a friend.
Describe your household growing up. What kind of background you come from?
Well, I was living with my dad, and then he got remarried to this lady. We didn't get along, so I went to Boys Town for a while. When I got out of there, I lived with my grandma, and that was kind of a mixed blessing, It's unlimited money, but very little, oversight. No structure. All I did was just, I had two rules. She had to know where I was, and I had to do good in school. So I graduated early. She knew where I was all the time, but there'd be a lot of nights, parties, fall asleep in the school parking lot, go to school when you hear kids getting out of the car next to you.
Describe life as a privileged kid, man, for those who don't understand that type of lifestyle.
Well, it gives you a different view on stuff. Like, those of you out there, you know what it's like when you get pulled over. When I would get pulled over in high school, I would jump out of my car while it's still rolling down the street, walk back there, open up the car door, poke the cop in the head and say, what the fuck do you think you're doing pulling me over? The side of the car says protect and serve. Did I ask for a bodyguard? Does it look like my iced tea needs refilling? Did I ask for more mayonnaise? Get the fuck out of here. We pay your salary. You work for me. I'd get in my car and drive off. When I'd get home, there'd be a cop waiting on my front porch with a ticket. I wouldn't even go to court. I'd call the chief of police, have the ticket thrown out.
What gave you that attitude, man? What gave you that confidence to have that attitude towards the authorities like that?
Basically, a false sense of I'm better than everybody else because I had money. I could buy anything I wanted, I could have anything I wanted, and it gives you this, like I always tell people, the people like now are like, why don't you work hard and try to better yourself a little bit? I'm like, well, I do what I need to do to survive. I've already, I started life in reverse. Most people work hard to get the things they need. I had everything I needed or wanted handed to me, and I was a terrible person. So now I choose to just do what I can to survive because it makes me a better person. I had 33 cents to my name. I went to the scrapyard. I turned in my shit. She overpaid me by $1. I returned the $1. That wasn't mine. Yeah, I've become a much more honest and more caring person. I have empathy towards others now where I didn't, before. And so, everybody thinks money, makes you happy. It sure does. But it's a false, you're happy, but you're not at peace. You're not a good person most of the time when you got money.
How old were you when you were introduced to the party scene, and what did the party scene consist of?
Just slanging and throwing raves. We could break into warehouses, run a generator, set up sound stages, lights, have DJs from around the country come play rave music. But it was a huge scene for a lot of extracurricular activities.
Who introduced you to that lifestyle?
Just getting, just a style of music that I liked. We just kind of learned of, raves in other countries and other cities, and we're just like, shoot, we got plenty of abandoned buildings here.
What jobs have you had over your lifetime?
Oh man, do a lot of delivery. That's what I try to do now as much as I can is like DoorDash. But I had a car, somebody hit me without insurance. So once I lost my car, that really screwed me up trying to get back into delivering. But I've worked in restaurants. I worked at Fairmount Park with the horses for 15 years. Then I took over a horse farm for retired racehorses. I've worked downtown with the horses across from Busch Stadium. They got those trail ride horses down there with the carriages. I've worked with them. I've done, just rehab and
What would you
demo.
say? What would you say was the turn of events that brought you to this term in your life right now? What was the turning point?
The day my house got robbed for the 8th time, this gentleman would front me product, and he would know he needed to come pick up the money on Friday. He'd break in my house on Tuesday, steal it back, and then come strong arm me for the money on Wednesday. 3rd time it happened, I took my core group of friends from 800 to 2, and that was it. I went off the grid, I changed all my phone numbers, and I only talk to my 2 good people now, and that's it.
How did you figure out he was double-crossing? How long did it take you to figure that out, and when did that come to light?
It took about 30 seconds because he would break in my house on the camera system that he installed because he felt more secure having cameras watching my house because he had so much product there. And so, to ease his mind, he put in a video security system, and I would show him the video. He's like, "That ain't me." I'm like, "Okay, Doug, we're done." That was about 15 years ago.
What happened to this guy?
I have no idea. Probably OD'd. The problem was he started using his own product, and then he'd run out of what he had at his house, and he'd come steal back from me.
What was involved at this time? What kind of product are we talking about at this time?
You name it. And everything but Aeron. I've never, ever dealt with that. It's the only thing I've never messed with.
When did you start with that lifestyle, dibbling and dabbling?
Early 90s. Shoot. I got pulled over in Texas with 15 pounds of weed in the car smoking a blunt. Illegally parked on some grass. Cop rolls up. He's like, "What are you guys doing here?" I'm like, "Looking at your beautiful downtown architecture on our way back to Missouri." He's like, "No, what the hell are you 2 white boys doing in the ghetto illegally parked in a dangerous area?" "Same thing I just told you, sir." Like, he's down here for a job interview. We're just heading back. He ran our licenses, came back. He said, "All right, guys, what you need to do is go down to the light, make a left, pull back in the church parking lot. You're on a hill. You can see all of our, our downtown architecture, and you'll be less safe." Joint, still smoking an ashtray. He didn't even ask to search the trunk.
You ever been married?
No.
Any kids?
Nope.
How did you avoid that?
Yes. Self-control and intelligence. Being smarter than the average bear.
Hey man, what advice would you give any guy who's looking at this lifestyle as glamorous? Like, man, I'm going to run away from home and be on the streets, and I can do what I want to do. What kind of advice would you give?
Yeah, it's not as glamorous as you think. You got to think about the long money, not the fast money. Got these brothers out here who's like, "Oh, I'll hook you up. I'll give you a fat sack." You short that person, and then you keep shorting them. If they're a regular customer, if they're a good friend, they it's their birthday. They call you and ask for some credit. You say you can't do no credit. Think about when they get busted. They're gonna go through their mental Rolodex and go, "Okay, this dude sells me double ups. This guy takes care of me on my birthday. This guy gives me a ride home when I'm stuck out in the rain. This other dude gives me half what I pay for, doesn't answer the phone when he owes me something. I'm gonna narc him out instead of the one that takes care of me." Everything trickles downhill. If you treat people around you like shit and you go for the short money, people are gonna short you when you need them back.
Has the loyalty changed over the years since you've been in the game or out of the game? Have you seen the changes in the attitude towards the lifestyle?
Yeah, everybody would. I always tell people, you got hustlers and you have businessmen. Hustle is one of the worst things you can do because it will get you caught up, it will get you dead. Or you can run it like a Fortune 500 company and you can maintain, you can make it to 60 and not have any criminal record. I can pass an FBI background check right now with all the shit I've done. I've got a card in my, at home that proves it because I had to pass an FBI background check to work in gambling. They gamble on them horses. So always think about the long money. Think about how you're gonna feed yourself 2 months from now, not how quickly you can get that gold watch this weekend.
So, if you can go back knowing what you know today and talk to a young Mr. Ponytail, what would you tell him? What advice would you give him?
Don't spend $1 million on cars in the 4 years of high school. Buy one car and stop spending. Don't spend any money on your friends unless they need help. But I would just take friends out to movies, dinner, pay for everything, and just
Where are those friends now?
Exactly. Yeah.
So would you call them friends?
Once my money ran out, they weren't friends anymore.
So would you call them friends?
Not now. They were in high school, you know. Everybody think back about your friends in high school. How many do you still talk to? Who actually really goes to their high school reunions?
So in closing, Mr. Ponytail, you're here to tell us that white privilege does exist. It's not a myth. It is very much real. You're a living proof of the white privilege.
Privilege might be a tough word. There is definitely two sides to the color issue when relating to the law. You know, a colored man in some fancy clothes, in a nice car, gets pulled over anywhere and jumps out of his car acting a fool is going to get shot. A white guy that jumps out of the car in the exact same situation is going to be told to get back in his vehicle and wait for the officer to approach him. It might not be privilege, but I went to high school in Kirkwood. That's one of the richest neighborhoods around. There was some, there were black folk at my school that made me look poor. And they got the same treatment too. It's not necessarily a white privilege. It's definitely a financial privilege and how you interact with people privilege, First time I acted like that, it was a big deal. I got my ass whooped, I got thrown on the ground. They honky king my ass the first time I jumped out of the car and disrespected them. After that, they just put a note on my file on the computer screen saying he's an idiot. Don't shoot him. Just let him do his thing. Write him a ticket later and bring it to his house.
So in closing, if there's anything you want to say to anybody who may be looking for you, wondering if you're okay, now's the time to say something in closing.
Oh shit. Anybody looking for me, I'm hiding from.
I appreciate you sitting down with us, Mr. Ponytail. Thank you.
Yeah, anybody that's close to me and needs to know where I am, they do.
Appreciate you, Mr. Ponytail. Thank you.
You're welcome.